I have so many friends who I would have never met. And there are so many people in Upland that are intelligent and creative and visionary and highly skilled. And when we can bring our ideas and our skills together, it's very, very powerful. And we can do that all across the world.
Shaktilyn, thank you for joining me on today's episode. Welcome. How are you doing? How are things? The hurricane just came through California. How is that?
Hi, X1. Thank you so much for inviting me on. I'm honored to get to be with you today. I'm doing great. And the hurricane was not anything too drastic. So we got a little bit of cloud cover where I live and a little bit of wind. And it felt really good.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. You're in Northern California. It was the same for us. We're a few states over. And actually yesterday, I have never seen, it was a full rainbow, double rainbow.
Oh, wow.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So
that's so awesome.
Yeah. So by the time it hits us, it's just a nice rain. So that's good. But hey, well, thank you for taking the time today. You won Player of the Year this year at Genesis Week. What was that like for you?
It blew my mind. Seriously, just blew my mind. It had never crossed my mind. So I was really, really moved. Completely, just deeply touched that the community knew who I was and liked me.
Yeah, no, it was one of my favorite moments, I think, of Genesis Week. I remember, you have the PowerPoint and you have all the names of people. And then I remember when I said, and the winner is Shaktilyn, just this cheer went up from the crowd that blew me back. And it was this really, really fun, special moment. So congratulations. I do think it's well-deserved. For players that don't know you and aren't aware, haven't interacted with you, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you found Upland and how you got started?
Okay. So my name is Shaktilyn, and I live in the San Francisco Bay Area. And it was 1 year and 7 months ago that my son-in-law told me that I should take a look at Upland. And he sent me the link because he knew I had just gotten into crypto. And I saw some advertisements about digital land, and I told him I thought that was a really interesting concept. So he sent me the link for Upland and said, you should check this out. And so I did.
What was your first draw? What really appealed to you?
Beyond the confusion of starting to play. Okay, so what was the first draw? Because, there were little blue and green squares, and I couldn't, and I didn't know anything. So it was very confusing for me. The first draw was once I entered Discord and started talking to people about the potentials for Upland. And I kind of started getting this vision of that we could create things and build things in Upland, and that eventually, as technology evolved, Upland would evolve to be perhaps more immersive. It got my curiosity and creativity flowing. And I think it was imagination.
So it got your creativity flowing. Did you immediately... Do you consider yourself a creator in Upland? Let me ask you that first.
Well, I don't have myself any 3D design skills, so I don't consider myself a creator in that regard. But I am half of the Toss Shack team. And the Toss Shack is a creator of 3D assets in Upland. Right now, the only thing that anybody can look at is the Imagination van owned by Abdullah.
That's right. That's you, and that was your first Genesis, the first Genesis week, the van design winner. Oh, yes, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Yes. but we have a whole bunch of incredibly exciting, gorgeous designs that are waiting to enter the Upland metaverse.
That's fun.
Super excited about that.
Yeah. So tell me more about the Toss Shack combination there. How did that get started for you? And how long did it take you from once you started in Upland to reach that point and make those connections?
Okay. So I started in January of 2022. And then I made some of my first friends in Upland on Discord. Yukadag and Relix. And together we joined a node called Century Citizens in Century City, Los Angeles. And that is where I met Tosshead. And so when Genesis Week was coming and the design contest was happening, Toss had asked for ideas. And so I came up with the idea of the imagination van. He made it. He gave it to me to submit.
Very cool.
And we won.
And you guys won. And the rest is history.
And he was so impressed with the way I brought the concept together and wrote the description and got it submitted and talked with Upland about the design. And he liked the way I worked. And so after Genesis Week, he said, I would like us to be business partners. And I said, yay. And so that's how it all started.
Oh, very cool. And feel free to say no here, but is there a project that you guys are currently working on or additional projects you've worked on since then that you care to talk about and share? And
we are working on many projects. We have created amazing assets for various different nodes. And some of those have been submitted, but we're waiting, right? We're waiting for the process to play out so that they can actually be manufactured and become assets on the Upland map. But we have made, we like to do themed designs. So we try to figure out what's the story of your node, what's its story or what's its purpose, and what sort of designs would be really appealing within your brand. And so we have several branded node designs. And then we have another really cool project that I wish that I could talk about today. But the project is under NDA, and there should be more information.
Stay tuned is what
coming soon.
Yeah.
And then we are working with Too Stupid to Win. And we are so honored and excited to have the opportunity to work with such a fabulous player, such as Too Stupid. And he has some amazing, beautiful designs that I can't say any more about.
Stay tuned for those as well.
Stay tuned. And then Tosshead and I are working on the Avenue of Fashion in Detroit.
Oh, what's that?
It's a historic avenue of fashion. Back from the 1930s. It was the big bustling shopping district in old time Detroit, and it is on Livernois Avenue between 7 Mile and 8 Mile. And so we have big plans for Detroit, and our focus is centered on the Avenue of Fashion, where we're setting up our MetaVentures and showrooms, and we have a lot of plans and ideas and creations in the works. So stay tuned.
Oh, that's exciting. I have to say, so we did the Metaverse Hunters in Detroit, and I had never been to Detroit before. Okay, the bad thing is we went in winter, and I have never felt that kind of cold before.
Oh,
ever. And keep in mind, I've lived in British Columbia up by Alaska. This was a whole other kind of cold, where it was minus 40 there up by Alaska. But the wind off of the Great Lakes right into Detroit, and it was wet, and there was a storm while we were there. And
wow.
It was insane. So that's the, I guess not bad, but that was that was a unique thing that I've never experienced before. But what I loved about Detroit is it does have this, like we went to this cool 1930 jazz bar that was there. Like you mentioned 1930s, 1920s. That was the golden age, I think, of Detroit as cars were coming up, and it was Motor City, and
Yes.
And it still has just this architectural design from then, and it's amazing. So that's super exciting. The Avenue of Fashion, that's exciting.
Oh, and it ties in with, I should mention that Toss Head is the CEO of Corset Story, which is a fashion brand based in the United Kingdom, but ships worldwide. And that is why I often appear wearing a corset, because those come from his fashion company. And so there's this tie-in with the Avenue of Fashion in Detroit.
That's cool. So are those going to be coming into the metaverse, the corsets, or is it too soon to talk about or tell, or stay tuned?
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Oh, that's exciting. That's very exciting. So you did talk, Shaktilyn, about stories, and that when nodes come to you, you ask them, what is the story of your node? Can we talk about that for a minute? I think story is really important, and nobody that I've talked to yet has talked about story. Why is story important to you?
Well, Toss Head is a marketing expert and branding expert. And so he has taught me that the power of story in organically bringing communities together. So instead of trying to force a community, like come to my node and build, you draw people who are interested in the same story. And so it's an organic way of having people come to you because they like what you offer and they want to be part of it. And so I think story is very important for forming communities around common likes, common goals, common, I mean, that's what brands form around, is some communities form around brands, and brands are successful because of the community that forms around them.
Yeah. So a story really helps underscore culture, I think, or create culture too within that. Is there example off the top of your head, and not to put you on the spot here, of a story of a node that, or not even a node necessarily, but a project or anything in Upland that really stands out to you as just crushing it from a story aspect?
Yes, I would say that the node that I'm in leadership of, Creedmoor Hub in Bellerose, Queens, stands out to me because it is a node that surrounds an infamous insane asylum and builds all of their houses crooked and is nicknamed the Halloween Hub. Yeah. Right? And so people love spooky. They enjoy the just sort of carefree, let loose, let's have fun and be crazy attitude of like, yeah, build your house crooked, choose ugly colors. Just it gives people a chance to let their hair down. Yeah. And join something just a little bit crazy around an insane asylum. And people love Halloween. So I think that's a story that has a real draw for a lot of people.
Yeah, I love that. Absolutely. I love the build your house any way you want as well. That's fun. I mean, just as you're talking about, I'm like, oh, because I've not selected a node yet. And players ask, come to this node. You make me want to be part of the Creedmoor node, set my home address there. So
we would love to have you.
I'm glad you brought up story, because it is something that's super important, especially when building communities. Or Upland is a metaverse. It's the future, I think, of how people will interact online. So instead of like a 2D flat screen where you just post your status for the day, you're part of a neighborhood. You're part of the Creedmoor Hub, for instance. And so story is such an important part of that we've yet to really talk about on this podcast. So what's your story, Shaktilyn, in Upland? What's your Upland story, if you were to summarize it, to tell it?
My Upland story is that Well, let's just say I'm a 53-year-old grandmother who happened into Upland and discovered the Upland community. And by being nice to people, by being interested in people, by having a certain level of decorum and professionalism and kindness, and an attitude of inclusivity, that opened doors for me. So that I met the most amazing people from all across communities and became friends with some of the greatest names in Upland. And that opened doors because I believe, because of the way I behaved, paired with a bit of competence, people wanted to work with me and have me help them with their projects. And I just think that by conducting myself with a certain level of decorum, people wanted to interact with me, and that opened the doors that has led me to be part of so many different amazing and exciting projects. And to me, that's my story.
Yeah, well, it's definitely worked. I mean, you're part of so many different projects. You won Player of the Year. You won Designer of the Year. The Genesis van design the year before. So it's definitely worked. So I asked this of everyone: how do you find success for yourself in Upland?
Well, for me, I feel very successful and grateful because the community has been so warm to me, and I can't imagine anything much bigger than winning Player of the Year. So I definitely feel successful already. As Upland evolves, and as I believe that it will, the vision I have for it, I would like to have, a footprint in Upland. And that's what we're building right now, is whether it's nodes or projects, we're creating the name for ourselves and the tangible, deliverable goods that will be present and be part of the history as Upland continues to evolve in the future. And so, and monetization of it, so making some money off of these projects that we're working on would just add to the success. And I believe that that's coming.
Excellent. So. And so you mentioned Upland evolving. Where do you see it evolving in the next 5 years?
So what I believe Upland will be is a more immersive place as technology allows for it to be. But ultimately, it will be a place where the entire world can come together in one space and socialize, play, communicate, build businesses, work for businesses. So I see it being a great equalizer for the world, where people from, struggling economies can come and perhaps even just flip properties for a good living, or a good secondary income, but also perhaps work for those of us that have built businesses, find employment in the metaverse. I think you're going to, like you said, about it being an immersive online experience. That's what I think it will be. But it will be the great equalizer for the world, and perhaps even bring some greater understanding between cultures, because we will all get to become friends and work together in one world where we all exist.
Yeah, that's absolutely exciting. And what's cool is you get to interact, even already, you get to interact with people that you otherwise would never be able to interact with. I mean, because even when you think about traditional, Web 2.0 on social media, your social media is really, unless you're some kind of influencer or have done something, you're a content creator, most people's social media accounts are with people who they've met in person, which is still very limiting. But what you're talking about, and that vision that you're articulating there, it breaks down all those walls. It's people that you haven't met in person, but you've come to get to know, no matter where they're at in the world.
Well, absolutely. It's an amazing space because, I mean, just look at me, Tosshead and me. He's in the UK running a corset business. How would I ever meet him? I would not. And Too Stupid is, my friend. I have so many friends who I would have never met. And there are so many people in Upland that are intelligent and creative and visionary and highly skilled. And when we can bring our ideas and our skills together, it's very, very powerful. And we can do that all across the world.
There's a lot of people who maybe this is their first time joining something like Upland. I mean, the metaverse is new overall. The Upland super app is new. What's your advice to someone on how to connect with others?
Well, I highly recommend using Discord. And, hey, if you're wanting to know how can I join a node, or, anybody who needs help is free to shoot me a direct message in Discord or go to the Upland server in Discord. But it is really, to me, I would say take it slow, understand that there is a lot to learn, and just take it slow and don't be impatient, because we've all been there. And lean into the community, because there are so many of us that are very happy to help you get connected and answer questions. And so, that would be my recommendation, is talk to people. I will say I felt very alone when I started playing Upland. Oh,
really? Interesting. Why is that?
Well, first of all, because your block explorer is floating around and you have no idea what's going on. And then when you join Discord, it seems like everybody else knows what they're talking about, and you don't. And so you can sort of be like, oh, I'm just a newcomer who doesn't know anything. And you can feel shy or insufficient somehow. And I think, a lot of people have probably been there. I can say that I was there. So it takes courage. I think Upland it's like, I think often about when people came west to settle the West, the first pioneers that came. And this is a whole new world. We are settling Upland. We're settlers. We're pioneers. We're early comers. And so it can be scary, and you need to be willing to do things maybe that you haven't done before, because a lot of us do. A lot of us try new things. I wouldn't have thought that I'd be appearing in a YouTube show, and I didn't really think I'd be communicating with anyone on Discord either. But you step outside of your comfort zone just a little bit, walk through the door, and see where it leads you.
Yeah, I also like we're pioneers. The other day we said that in our announcement after the Tokyo release. Like, Upland is doing what nobody else is doing, and thank you for joining us. We're all pioneers together in this. That's back to storytelling. I think that's such an apt way to describe the story that is this Upland. That the players are settlers and pioneers, and we're building this together. We are. I once heard Uplanders say that we're building the plane as we fly it. And he was talking about Uplandia. Yeah.
But I often think about that with Upland. Is like, we have to be patient because we are all building the plane as we fly it.
Yeah. No, that's true. Well, last question. What are you most looking forward to in Upland? Well,
this is very biased of me, but I'm really looking forward to seeing the Toss Shack designs.
As am I now. As is everybody is. We have stay tuned for all these projects that are coming. I'm really excited. Well, Shaktilyn, thank you very much for sitting down and talking. Where can people follow you? Where can they meet you? How can they reach out to you?
I am on Twitter and I am on Discord. I don't have the links in my head.
No, that's okay. We will, if you send me the links, we'll provide the links, everybody, in the description below. So head down there, give Shaktilyn a follow wherever she's at, and say hello. And she will help you. She said, reach out if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. So, Shaktilyn, I appreciate it. Thank you for being on. Until next time.
Thank you, X1.